Okay, so I have started my cable build. I'm using a 16-pin pigtail that I bought off Amazon. I've got the 3 wires that we're going to be using, which goes to pin 7, which is the K line, pin 4, which is ground, and pin 16, which is positive 12 volts. I've then capped off, or trimmed and capped off, the remaining wires in the cable because we're not going to use them and I don't want them shorting out against one another, and they might be useful for another project, so I didn't want to just cut them all flush and then have a problem later on down the road if they did short. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of pin these back and tape them, and to keep them out of the way. And then I'm going to move on to attaching these, which are the spade pins for the ECU interface on the bike. So let's do that. Okay, I've taken a piece of 1/2-inch heat shrink tubing and covered the end of the cable with it, and we're using this as a little bit of a strain relief as well because the wires are real thin. So now what I need to do is apply or install these crimp-on connectors here, and they include what looks to be a little wire seal, which is kind of neat, and the wire seals go in the back of the cable here, or the cable connector. Kind of keeps out water and dirt and whatnot, which is a pretty good idea. So we'll go ahead and we'll slide these on here. I do not have the precise correct crimping tool for these crimp-on connectors, but I've got a tool that I am pretty sure will work just fine. And this is what the connector looks like, or the pin. So that goes on there like so. Yeah, need to tighten that down. Let's see. Which can that's 2.5. This might do the job. And yes, I've got all kinds of fancy crimping tools. This one is a PA21. It's a very nice Japanese tool. I've got a complete set of 3 of these. There's different sizes, and if you look at it, it shows the various crimp diameters it'll do. I'm hoping it shows this because I cannot see it in the LCD in the camera. So at any rate, what we're going to do here is we're going to slip that wire in there. I'm going to undo that lock. And we're going to try the 2.5 just to see how that works. Come on. Well, that worked out very nice. That was nice. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll pinch together this strain relief on the back here, because that's what the back 2 tabs are. They're supposed to be a strain relief. And I don't know if this tool is wide enough. Nope, it's not. It's okay. So I will just need to crimp that by hand. So I will go ahead and grab a tool I need for that, and I'll be right back. Okay. It's a pretty grim crimp job what this thing does, but I suppose it gets the job done. Okay, so we got that one handled, so let's get the other one's done here. And I'm not going to try to crimp that back one by hand again. for the strain relief by hand, because that really didn't turn out as nicely as I would have hoped. These pins are designed to be used with a specialized tool that will do a multi-stage crimp in one operation. And these engineer tools that I'm using, basically you're the second stage. So you kind of have to treat them accordingly, or to use them accordingly. But the difference is that this is a $25 or a $30 tool, whereas the tool that does this all in one fell shot is, you know, $300, $400, $500, which as often as I don't crimp these things, it's a bit expensive. Okay, let's get on to the last one here. That's too far. The dies could be a little bit wider on this tool, but they get the job done. They're not perfect, but it's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to get the job done, which they do quite well. You just have to be patient. If you've got to sit down at some point and bang out 1,000 of these things, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to buy the fancy tool, or you're going to buy a machine that takes these things in strips. You push the wire into a hole, you hit a button, it attaches and crimps the thing and lets it go. I've seen those. They're absolutely beautiful, but they're well over $1,000. Okay, so our next task is to insert the pins in the connector shell. And then we also have this thing, which is an alignment guide that goes into the connector shell. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do pin number 4 first. And pin number 4 is right here. And I need to look to see as to how these things fit in. Yeah, so pin 4 is this one right here. So I think it goes in like so. And we'll pull on that just a little bit to get it seated all the way. And then we'll push our little green seal in there. That's really neat. Okay, so the next pin is pin 6, which is our 12 volts. Okay, and keep in mind is that I'm calling the pins out on this, not the pins out on the other on the other end of the cable. So pin 6 goes in here, and we'll just grab it and pull it through. So it clicks like that. I don't know if you heard it click, but there's the first 2 pins in, and then we'll slide our weather seal plug in there, and then. Oh, did I screw that up? I did screw that up. Okay, so now we get to see how to pull the pins out. Okay, I need a tiny, tiny screwdriver in order to do that. I screwed it up. It's all my fault. Fortunately, these can come out. It just takes a little finessing to get. I need a narrower screwdriver. I will be back. Something like this monstrous thing. Okay, so put that in there, lift that a little bit. Come on. There we go. Okay, there's that one. This connector shell took a few weeks to reach me, so I really don't want to bang it up. And there's the other one. Okay, so now I can undo my mistakes. So we are going for the K line to pin 4. Okay, see, I got confused, and that's what caused my problem, because the numbering for this is different than the numbering from the other end, and I did a dumb thing, so yay me, I guess, right? Okay, this is the diagnostic connector you're going to need to plug into in order to talk to the ECU on the Hawk. It just kind of hangs free, and it's got a dummy plug in it that protects the connector pins, or the socket, from water and things like that. And it opens very easily. You just push on this and you can pull it out. This dummy connector is identical to the one that you're going to purchase in order to build your cable. You can see that this does not have any of those yellow alignment guides that I decided not to put in my cable, and you really don't need them. We're only using 3 pins, and it's keyed in different ways, the shell is, so you're not going to have any problems. So let's go ahead and we'll plug in the cable that we built and go from there. Okay, now that we've got our little cable here, it plugs right into the big diagnostic harness here. And that's all there is to it. You plug that thing in and you're ready to go. And then we've got the female end of the ODB-II connector here. This plugs into your USB interface, and we're going to do that next. I'm not going to show you how to plug this in. You got to be able to figure this out. We're going to run the software next and see what information we can pull out of this motorcycle. Okay, so here we have the HUD ECU hacker. This is version 1.8. I apologize for the outside noise. There's not a whole lot I can do about it, and still be able to do this demo without poisoning myself with bike exhaust. So anyway, this is the current setup. I'm going to go ahead and turn the bike on and start it, and then we'll hit connect and you'll see how this works. Okay, so hopefully I will be able to be heard over the engine. So we're going to go ahead and click connect, and then we're going to go to the dashboard. And as you can see, it's got all these parameters for the motorcycle. Ones that have a little wrench next to them right here are adjustable, at least according to what I've read about the software. I am not going to touch any of these. I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to just start experimenting and change things and risk killing a perfectly good motorcycle. As you can see here, there's a lot of data that you can look at. There's a couple of different ways you can look at it. There's the dashboard here, a graph that I really haven't messed with a whole lot, a data grid that basically shows the same data as the previous dashboard display, but contains a little bit, contains a description, so you don't have to hover over it. For example, if you hover over this, it'll tell you, what's going on and what it means. With the data grid, that's all effectively there. If you double click on it, it'll expand it. Let's see here, double click on that. Yeah, see, it just opens them up. The person that wrote the software did a very nice job. It really seems to get the job done, and it's very well presented, and it's very, very configurable. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run the throttle on the bike a little bit so you can see some of the parameters change, and we'll go from there. I think this coolant temperature is actually more of a cylinder head temperature because this motorcycle does not have any coolant. It's an air-cooled engine, so make of that what you will. I'll go ahead and I'll rev the throttle a few times and I'll turn the motor off. And the motor died. Let's start it back up. Oh, maybe because I hit the switch by an accident. Yeah, okay. There we go. And I'm going to turn the key off, which will disconnect the software. So let's go ahead and disconnect the software first, and then I'll turn off the key. So go over here, control, and disconnect. And then we'll turn the key off. So there you have it. This is how you can talk to the ECU on your Hawk DLX motorcycle. Thanks for watching, guys.